Max, do an intro.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tin and Maxx. I'm Max. That guy's Tin, and we're back. And we're going to be talking about Atlus. That's right. All the new and exciting things that have been announced. And really, I just kind of want to get right into it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Obviously, we've had a couple shorts on the channel. And as you know, if you are fans of the channel, we love Persona. I mean, that is, both of us love Persona. Justin has played the SMT games, loves those. I haven't played those personally. They look awesome, though.
Max has played one Persona game, so
I've played 1.5. I started playing Persona 4 that was gifted to me by Justin. Anyways, so so let's talk about all the new stuff. So first off, Persona 3 Remake. Justin, what?
Persona 3 Reload is the official
Reload.
name. Yeah, this is hold on, loud ass chair. It's very interesting. Persona 3 Reload. Because like it's been like rumored for like I think like a year or something like that. Like it's been like the worst kept secret in like the Atlus gaming sphere for a while now, and now it's official. We saw trailers of it. We've seen a couple different trailers because they recently released a Japanese specific trailer, and it's cool. Like I'm not someone who's personally against remakes when they're good. There are bad remakes, there are good remakes. Remakes, I think, definitely have a place within gaming. This one, and I touched on a little bit in that video I made. This one's weird to me because at the time we didn't know if it was going to include content from the two other versions of Persona 3 that released, which are FES and Portable. It's not, is the answer. They're not doing the answer, which is the bonus epilogue, and they're not doing the female main character at all, it seems like. And that's just such a weird choice to me, because like I mentioned that video specifically, Persona 3, out of the three modern Persona games, 1, 2, and 2 do not count. This is the only one that lacks like a golden or a royal, and I genuinely thought that like with a remake that would be their chance to finally give us that, and Atlus decided to not do that for whatever reason.
I think that's the thing is when with remakes, we've talked about remakes on the channel before and what makes a good remake, and it is adding new stuff as well as remastering. It's not just taking the same thing and doing it. And it's interesting that there's literally 3 Persona 3 games, and they're not taking some of the best parts of all of them. Because in your video, you talked about how it'd be really cool if Persona 3 Reload has the best parts from each of them combined, right? And instead, it sounds like, based on what you're saying, it's just gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same game, just new, right?
According to the, I think it was the director, they specifically set out to remake the original version of Persona 3 specifically, which is a choice, I guess. They could do that. And with that being said, it won't entirely, it won't completely ignore when Persona 3 Reload releases, I do think it is going to be the best version of Persona 3, like the core Persona 3 experience. It's going to have so many quality of life improvements. It's going to have even stuff that like Portable and FES couldn't have, because it's going to be the most modern Persona game at that point, even past 5.
Yeah.
So it's, in that sense, it's going to be the best version, and they're doing a lot of interesting things with it. Excuse me, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I do think it's going to be the best version of Persona 3. I just have this worry that Atlus is going to do a very Atlus thing, and in like 2 or 3 years, we're going to get Persona 4 Reload Extra Bullet, or Persona 3 Reload Moonlight Edition, where they add in the answer and they add in the female main character, and it's a whole new game with a $60 price tag once again. That's my concern. Is it, and it just it's, if that ends up being the case, that's gonna suck, to be honest.
Well, I think Atlus is definitely, I mean, they're capitalizing on the hype right now that Persona 5 really brought, right? I mean, they're, with all the new releases and all the different stuff, they're really, Atlus is like capitalizing on it. I think my biggest issue is there's all these new things, but it feels like for Persona, we're not really moving it forward, right? Like
Yeah.
specifically that series. And that's the series that is building this hype, right? I think Atlus is, I mean, again, Persona 5, we all know, has been like one of the biggest games and the biggest things that have brought a lot of people to Atlus, right? You know, I mean, just to play all the different games. And it's kind of a bummer that they're using that hype to just say, "Oh yeah, go play our old games. We'll make them even better. We'll remaster them just so you can play our old games," instead of being like, "Hey, you know, here's a brand new Persona universe game," if that makes sense. Like, it
Right.
doesn't have to be Persona 6, but it could just a new Persona universe type game.
Yeah. And we all know Persona 6 is being worked on. It's gonna take them. It took them like, God, when did Persona 5 4 came out in like 2011. Persona 5 was like 2016, 2017. So it took them like 5 years to make Persona 5. And whatever they do with Persona 6, it has to be bigger than Persona 5. Like they have to go
It's
bigger.
2023. It's 2023.
Yeah, we're not getting
already.
it till 2025. Let's be
That's
real.
fine. That's
Um,
fine. I'm just saying.
and yeah, I get that. I don't know. I do think in kind of an interesting way, Persona 3 Reload is going to push the series forward. In an interview, the director of the game has mentioned that this will be the Persona game with the most voiced lines in the entire series so far. All of the social links will be completely voiced. That's brand new. That's not like the biggest improvement, but it's
I
interesting if
mean,
that's going to be a continuing trend with the series. Is Persona
that'd be
6
really
going to
cool.
be fully voiced in the same vein? I don't
That'd be
know.
cool.
They're introducing, because for those of you who don't know, like Max, because he's never played the game, Persona 3, not all of your teammates were social links or confidants. I'm gonna say social links. Like mostly the male ones, you could social link with all the female ones, but not the male ones. And they're not, you could in portable as the female main character, but they're not adding them into reload. Like you can't, the male teammates you can't do social links with, but they're adding something new called side stories, which it's been left very vague, but it seems like it's going to be a way of expanding their stories and kind of their backgrounds in a different way than a social link. So I am really interested to see what that looks like and if that'll be something we see later in the series, something that's kind of like a social link but also not.
How do you feel like they could do a side story that's not a social link? Like, I feel
I
like
have
most
no
social
idea.
links are, you know, kind of like the side story of the character building a relationship, seeing their, because I mean, there's times where you as the protagonist are not even with your social link and you're watching something, right? When you're leveling it up.
Right.
So it's like it's interesting to think that there'd be a side story that you're seeing like flashbacks or something like that that's not linked to any movement in the game, right?
Yeah. My assumption is honestly it's just going to be like we're going to see like flashbacks or we're going to see bits of their backstory or they're going to tell the main character about their backstory. I think it's going to function a lot like a social link, just with without any of the benefits.
Mm.
Is my theory.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Okay.
interesting, and it's also interesting to see because they've also mentioned that Tartarus, which is the main dungeon of the game, the only dungeon in the game technically, is being completely reworked. It's being redesigned, and they're adding elements to keep people interested in exploring it. Which again, super vague, but as someone who's played 3 different versions of Persona 3, I'm interested to see what that actually means. I don't think this is going to be as much as they have kind of cut out. I also think they are adding some really new, interesting stuff along with it that will hopefully kind of balance it out a little bit. Also, this is crazy. The English voice cast for Persona 3 has been completely replaced.
Hmm.
The entire cast. And like, I don't have a strong connection to those characters like I do Persona 5. So I try to put myself in the mindset of, oh, what if they completely recast the Persona 5 cast? I would hate that. I love those guys. So that's again just a really weird choice to make.
Mm. Well,
Fun
do you think
fact.
it's because of the age? Like age of people?
No, I don't think that matters at all. It's been what Persona 5 has been going for like 6 years now. The Persona 3 people were just in a game not that long ago. Like they were
Mm.
in Persona. Q, I don't think they had English voice actors in Q2, but in Q1 they did, and they did the movies. Again, that was the Japanese cast. I don't think the Japanese cast has been replaced or it hasn't been announced or anything. But I don't know. It's a weird choice. Fun fact: the main character of Persona 3 is in English is voiced by the same guy who does Spider-Man in the Marvel Spider-Man games.
Oh,
yeah, that's fun.
Well, that means that both games are gonna be incredible. So
yep.
that means
that's how that works.
That's all it is based off the voice acting. Well, so switching gears, what do you think about Persona 5 Tactica? What is kind of the main thing that Persona Atlus fans can expect from that?
Well, for one, more of the Phantom Thieves.
Great.
It'll be interesting to see because Atlus has a tendency to make all Persona games canon, even like the ones where they all meet, and even the dancing games are technically canon. Fun fact.
Let's go. Come on.
So it'll be interesting to see how this fits in with Strikers, because even Strikers doesn't necessarily fit in with the most recent, presumably canon version of Persona 5, which is Royal, because there's no Kasumi. Yep. Little tease with a catchy at the ends. That's not mentioned. So it'll be interesting to once again see like where Tactica fits and all that. Like, is it going to be like, oh, they got pulled out of the timeline in somewhere in Persona 5, they got pulled out of time and they're doing a different thing because that's what the Q games do. Is it going to be after Strikers somehow? Will it include anyone from Strikers or Royal? There is apparently, and Atlus stop doing day one DLC. Stop it, bad Atlus. There's going to be day one DLC that's going to feature a character that we're all familiar with. We don't know who yet. And that could be a Kasumi. That could be the guy from Striker whose name I don't know. It could be a Sophia from Strikers.
Why can't we just pay $60, which is a ridiculous amount for a game, and get everything in the game? Like, why?
Because it's money. But they have to also have $100 edition of the game to make even more money, and you barely get anything for it.
Yeah. So, but you have to buy it if you're a true fan, anyways.
Yeah, you have to buy it if you're a true fan. In terms of gameplay, Tactica, again, like Strikers, is a different type of gameplay than your typical Persona game. It's more of like a grid-based tactics game. I don't know why, but my mind always goes to those Mario Rabbids games when I think of that, even though there's so many other options to parallel.
Mario Rabbids the best example.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm honestly interested in. I think that will fit a little bit more seamlessly with Persona's normal combat, which is turn-based, because it is also turn-based. There's just also the added element of being able to move in the grid system.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm gonna play it. So
yeah. Well, so out of curiosity, do you think, because obviously we love the Persona 5 characters, right? What?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm very white. Like I'm natural white, so I look like a ghost.
I was like, what? You like want to change a light bulb or whatever? Are you telling me?
No.
I feel like the Persona 5 characters obviously are so huge, right? We love the characters. We love every social link, every confidant.
I don't know about every social link, but yeah,
most. Anyways, but so with the game itself, like, do you feel like? I mean, and obviously it has a lot to do with where they take out the story, but like, can it be at the end? Could it like where would you assume the story is going to take place? Because honestly, like, it's kind of like, I feel like they wrapped it up so well, like the story itself, that it almost feels like it would be do a disjustice to what we had as the ending, if that makes sense, to the characters.
If I had to guess, I would assume it's going to be like the Persona Q games, where like at some point during the main story of Persona 5, the characters kind of get pulled out of time, out of space and whatever, and they're put in like a different world with a whole other story, because that's what happens in the Q games. They get transported to a place and then they're put right back in like they never left, which is how it can be canon and also not canon, because they also end up forgetting it anyway. That would be my guess. I don't necessarily see them doing, yet again, like Strikers is technically a sequel, which is honestly one of the things I loved most about Strikers.
Yeah.
But I don't really see them doing that with this, because it seems less like, because even Strikers had the same art style and visual style of Persona 5. Like, it looked like Persona 5, where this one has a whole new art style. It's got a different kind of vibe going. So I don't really see it. I don't really see the story of it mattering too much, but I guess we'll see.
Okay.
As
Okay.
soon as we upload this video, they're going to announce the DLC. They're going to tell us the whole story, and I'm immediately
Matters
going
so
to be
much.
proven wrong. Can't wait.
You'll get that, 3 commenters that are just like, Tin is so dumb.
No,
when it comes
actually.
to Atlus. Actually, that's the best. Hey, comment down below. No, actually.
Yeah, give us a bunch of no actuallys.
Those are our favorite.
Love them.
Which, thanks for commenting. Well, moving on to the last big Atlus game, the Metaphor ReFantazio. Am I saying that right? ReFantazio?
I don't know. I've been saying it, Metaphor ReFantazio.
Ooh, ReFantazio. When I see it, that's what how I say it.
We'll just call it Metaphor, and we'll avoid that whole last part of it.
I love it. But Metaphor, I mean, obviously, the trailer came out. Able to see that and see it had a lot of parallels to Persona. I mean, so many parallels just in the trailer shown, which again, building on the Persona hype, right? I think, in my opinion, to try to sell more, because again, how do you create a new universe? How do you do this stuff that's not Persona and be able to sell it really easily? Well, you make it look like Persona and slap a new name on it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess what can we expect different from, do you think, this game compared to like a Persona game?
Well, for one, I don't think, as far as I could tell, 0 returning Personas / demons from Persona / SMT seems to be like a whole new universe entirely. Because like, as most people probably know, Personas and demons from the series are based off of real life mythology. All of them can be traced back to some kind of mythology. And I think with this being a brand new, different world, I'm kind of hoping that they'll kind of create their own mythology for this world, and that's kind of what we'll see, because I think that'd be really interesting. And I'm kind of, because like, I love the design of the Personas and stuff, don't get me wrong, but it'd be interesting to see them create like a whole new cast of different kinds of things. And we don't know like if the characters are going to have one set, we'll just call them Personas for now, if they'll have one set persona like your castmates, or if just the player will be able to switch out, or if they'll all be able to switch out like a lot of the SMT games. We just don't know, and that's what is honestly most exciting. And like, just seeing what they can do with a completely fictional setting. Like SMT4 has something along the same lines. Digital Devil Saga, same thing. And I think Atlus can really like go crazy with imagination. Like, there's that scene in the trailer where the dude's like riding on like a bus or something, and it's got big ass legs.
Well, and I think that's the thing is, honestly, unlike the Persona games, there's so much more almost with the protagonist, right? The protagonists themselves doing something in the trailer is pretty neat, So I'd be curious to see, like, again, how they use that, and how is it just, for example, is it just like the world of Pokemon, where essentially all these things are just in the world? Like, it's unlike Persona where they, go to a different realm or different thing. Is this just the world? Like, that would be, it's going to be really interesting to see and how that kind of plays out.
Well, it does seem to be more like a more typical kind of fantasy RPG with Alice elements sprinkled in. And I don't know, it just looked super cool. It's by Studio 0, and like we mentioned in the short we did on it, the director of that game directed 3, 4, and 5 of Persona. And I know I'm gonna piss off old school Persona fans, the 3 best Persona games, and the best SMT game, in my humble opinion, SMT Nocturne. Like, this dude has a killer resume. And like, the whole team, like the whole Studio 0 has been pulled from like the history of Persona and SMT, and it's just and they've been working on it for like 8 years or something. So, and it's still got a year to go. It's gonna be, look, if this game is disappointing, I might literally cry, because I am so hyped for it.
I love that.
It's gonna be cool, and I'm just really excited, because Persona and SMT and even the most recent Soul Hackers 2, they all have certain rules they have to fill by fitting into those series. And I may be completely off base here, but it's been a long time since Atlus has released a big mainline game like this that wasn't directly connected to SMT in any way. It's brand new, and that's just very exciting, because Atlus does amazing stuff. I like their games, which is why we cover them so much on this channel.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that one.
Cool.
That's my most hyped one for sure.
No, I love it. I love it. So, I mean, any final thoughts on what Atlus is doing, what the direction that they're going as a studio, or?
Apparently, there's another Persona 5 spin-off in the works that hasn't been announced yet. I hope it's Arena. That'd be dope. Probably won't be because that's what I want, and the universe will tell me no. But yeah, I don't know. I think Atlus has some very off-putting business practices. They love their extra DLC, and we're gonna get a Persona 3 Reload, Moon Knight Dark Hour Edition in 2 to 3 years, which is another version of the game with all the stuff. But I like their games, which is why I think in the same vein as like Nintendo, who also do a lot of shady stuff, they make consistently good games. Like I think even their worst, most mediocre games are still better than a lot of other games. So they kind of get away with it, even if they shouldn't. So yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, cool. Well, those are our quick thoughts on Atlus. Let us know down below what you think on Atlus and what the direction that they're going. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And Tin, any last things?
No.
See you later.